Welcome back to Equiptment Gaming, where we're going to be diving into the realm of Transformers. We're going to be going over the deck tech of Galaxy Prime before Wave 5. The reason that we're going to be covering that before that, because we want to see what the changes we're going to end up making. I talked with Dan Arnold about his suggestions and everything, and I think it's going to be adding a little bit more spice with it. And if you like the content that we're putting out here, like, subscribe, or hit that little bell for any kind of notifications of any future content. Without further ado, let's bring out the characters. Coming in first is going to be Flamewar, veteran Decepticon, a motorcycle specialist who has bold 1 over there and costs us only 5 stars. But we really have her in here just for our other side of it, so we'll flip her over and where she gives everyone tough 1. Talking about tough, we're going to end up bringing in Skydive. This guy we don't really flip. As I say, we really like to keep him over in this side because he has tough 2, and with Flamewar, he'll have tough 3. But he's also a plane and is also a specialist and also costs us 5 stars. With them covered, we're going to come over with the Big Mac Daddy General Optimus Prime, Galactic Commander. So this is why it's called Galaxy Prime, because there's a couple different General Primes out there. So we have Galactic Commander, which is make him called Galaxy Prime. He's a big old leader truck and has range. He's 15 stars, and all worth it. So we got 3 utility slots that comes with them, and whenever we flip to this mode, we reveal the top card of our deck. If it's an action, we may play it. So, talk about flipping. Let's flip him over. Over on this side, he still has the 3 utility slots. And when this attacks, and you flip at least a orange and a blue, you may play one of your flipped upgrades onto this after the battle. So, it's kind of like a little situation that we end up going over to it. So, with the characters out of the way, let's cover the deck. With all the characters out of the way, let's cover the deck. So we have 5 different ways that we have any kind of draw fuel with this deck. 2 of which is incoming transmission, which allows us to draw 2 cards and put a card on top, which lets us end up setting up Prime for either that action or that upgrade that we want to have, or even just a little bit better of attack. Next up is working overtime. If you have fewer than 4 cards in your hand, draw the difference. Straight up draw fuel. And then Equipment Enthusiast. We have a whole bunch of upgrades. I mean, Prime has 3 utilities, so we might as well try at least doing some kind of draw with it. Which draw a card for each upgrade that we have. Next is going to be our removal / anti-upgrade package, which we have 8 cards total for that. Reprogress comes in to scrap an upgrade from any character and repair 2 damage. So this either gets rid of a nasty upgrade that we don't end up wanting, or helps us in a pinch to be able to gain that little bit of life that we need to just to be able to edge out that win. Markmanship, we have 2 copies of that in here. If you have a ranged character on the battlefield, do 2 damage to an enemy in bot mode. Dopping them for 2 damage with having the range, which is what Prime ends up having. Doesn't sound too bad to me. Kicking in with 2 disarms, return all upgrades on a character to its owner's hands. We need to keep our upgrades so we could pop them back over on our side, or on the vice versa, we could stall out the other deck over on the other side with bouncing back all that work that they ended up doing. And what's the best thing to do when we bounce it all back to their hands is we'll play 3 copies of Security Checkpoint. Each player reveals their hand and scrap all upgrades from it. It's a pretty little nasty little guy right there. Alright, and now we gotta be thinking about how to push some damage through. So we got 5 different ways that we end up doing it. Leap into battle, which we have 2 of those guys in the deck, is one of your characters gets +3 attack until end of turn. A little bit more oomph to that little push to it. And then for the little guys, we have bigger they are. One of your characters get +2 attack until end of turn. Attacking an enemy with more stars than it gets Pierce 4. So, General Prime gets a little bit of an upgrade, but most of the time we're not going to end up getting that Pierce 4. This is more likely for like Skydive or Flamewar. And now we're popping over to the secret actions. We have 3 in the deck, which all 3 is Sabotaged Armaments. Whenever or when one of your characters defends, reveal it, and the attacker loses all the upgrades that they have. Bringing them back, nuking it back down to 0. So that covers the actions of the deck. Let's jump over to the upgrades. Specifically, we're going to start off with the armor of the deck. Sparring Gear gives our characters tough 2 to add a little bit more tough to them. Reflex Circuits is only put on ranged characters. And when we're going up against a melee character, the upgrade character has +1 defense and a static +1. So whenever we go up against an enemy upgrade or an enemy melee character, we get +2 defense. And then with Galaxy Prime, we have a whole bunch of room for utilities. So we might as well make a use of that a little bit with 6 different cards designated for that. 3 of which is the Matrix of Leadership. What is Prime without his Matrix? Answer is, I don't want to know. It's put on Autobots only. And then when it's put on a leader, each character gets a +1 attack and then a Pierce 1. And then the character that gets on there gets a +1 static attack. And then the big thing that we want to do, we want to keep our Prime alive. I mean, he already has a whole bunch of health with 21 health. But we can add more health with energy packs. Put only on 11-star characters. 11-star or more characters. Upgrade characters get +4 life. So that's 12 more life if we end up having all 3 of them on there. Talking about try hard with it. Next, and not most certainly least, is the weapons. This is where we're going to end up having a whole bunch of stuff that kicks in with that. As I say, we have about 10 different cards that we have designated as a weapon. 2 of which is Handheld Blaster, Bold 1. Really, to be dead honest with you, if you're playing this for the Bold 1, it's being desperate. Because the idea is the 2 pips that comes over for it. Noble's Blaster, put only on Autobots, and when a upgraded character attacks a Decepticon, it has Pierce 2. And it has 2 static attack. Laser Cutlass, put only on characters that have 7 or fewer stars. It has Pierce 3, and it has 1 attack. So this is mainly in there for Flamewar and Skydive. Because obviously Prime can't have it. And then throughout the entire thing, we're going to get a little bit of damage. So these Energon Axes is going to be a nice little helpful thing. They could only be put on a damaged character. They gave us Pierce 2, and they have 3 static attack. And then with us having Prime, we have to at least run some kind of a Prime exclusive. So we're going to pop out with 3 Ion Blasters of Optimus Prime. We got to have his big old gun coming over. It can be only put on Prime. It has +3 or +2 attack and +1 defense. So that's covering the main board. Now let's cover the sideboard. All right, coming from the sideboard is going to be Thrust. Thrust Supersonic Interceptor is a plane who has range, and when one of your characters attacks, you may tap this. If you do, the attacker gets plus attack until end of turn equal to the attack total of Thrust. It is a 9-star character. And over on the other side is the vanilla. So the main reason that we have that is to go over for an alpha strike. Is pretty much the idea with this guy. And then we're going to end up having the cards that we have options to bring in. We have our third Disarm that's coming from the sideboard. That we return all upgrades on the character to its owner's hands. 2 Hidden Fortifications. That gives us that character, or when one of your characters defends, that character gets tough 3. So even more tough coming out of the sideboard. That covers the actions that we have in the sideboard. Now let's cover over the upgrades that we have. We have 2 Field Communicators, which is another utility, and when it's put on a specialist, scrap the top card of your deck, you may play that card. W-5 Gyro Blaster. Another utility is when upgraded character battles, each character can't flip more than 2 battle cards during this battle. This is for those wicked bold decks that you end up having. Enforcement Batons, where it has it for a character that you scrap it. Enforcement Batons, which is another weapon. We end up putting this on the character. Scrap an enemy up or weapon. +1 attack. And then we're going to kick it also in with 3 different copies of Armed Hovercraft. Whenever you put this on a ranged character, it does 1 damage to all the enemies. And it plus has 1 attack for it. So this covers the deck tech for Galaxy Prime before Wave 5. So that means also eventually we're going to have an upgrade character list that goes over with this. We might add a little bit more brawn to our deck. We never know. Till next time. Oh, wait. If you liked our content, like, subscribe, or hit that little bell icon. Until next time, roll out.